Welcome everyone to an episode of the Definitive Crusade. I am your host, Johnny Machine Hughes, and joining me, as always, the lovely Freyja.
Hi guys.
How's it going?
Good. Going good.
Good. And
Good,
of
good.
course, the Crusade would not be the same without a knight. Matthew, how's it going?
It's me. I am the night. I am the darkness. It's going good. It's going good. Hi, John.
If you're the darkness, dude, turn on the light.
I know, right?
I don't
Look,
know.
I'm a little too bright to be the darkness.
That is true. That is. You are a bright knight indeed.
Yeah.
All right. Excellent. So we're going to go through 4 books. First one up is a bit of a giant-sized issue. So as we normally do with these things, we don't go through every one unless you really want to. So we'll pick and choose where we go from that. I am talking about Flash 800. This is one of the reasons why Frey and I looked at the Flash a little while ago, so we could get a grasp of what the hell's going on, because we don't normally look at this book that often. And of course, this book does drop the day before I'm going to see the Flash movie, which I find. So this drops out on Tuesday, same as this pod, and then on Wednesday I'm going to see the Flash movie. I don't get it, because everyone's telling me that the Flash movie doesn't come out until the 16th. Yeah, I'm seeing it on the 14th. So.
Maybe because you're in England and whoever you're talking to is from the US.
Maybe
you have different release dates. Maybe you could be accidentally having set your date for July and getting confused.
I've double checked on this. Right.
Because I've done that. I did that recently, where I set a date for the 22nd of July and the 22nd of June came about.
All right.
Or is going to come about, and I was preparing for it, and then I was reminded that it was July.
It's a ways away. All right, so it's Exercise Spectacular. There's a host of creators on this book. Some past and present. So we've got Jeremy Adams, Mark Waid, Joshua Williamson, Jeff Johns, and Cy Spurrier on writing. Pencils, you've got people like Fernando Passerin, Todd Nook, Carmine G. Domenico, Mike Deodato Jr., and Steve Pugh. Colors are by a whole host of people, including Matt Herms, Luis Guerrera, and of course Trish Mulkerville, and the incomparable Jordi Bell. Letterers, for the most part, Rob Lee, although he's helped out by Hassan Otsman Elau and Becca Carey. There is a shed loads going on in this book.
Yeah.
Do we have a favorite story?
Bart Allen.
Really?
The one with Bart Allen was the most enjoyable for me to read, because at first I wasn't into it. I was like, oh, it's a little comic booky, Bart Allen's just like, oh, here's this, I'll go this way. Oh, here's this, I'll go this way. And then towards the end of it, I realized, oh my God, it's me with ADHD, just single-minded, just not listening to directions, only picking up on the first part. So it instantly went from being, okay, it's about a child, to being relatable, because that's how brain works sometimes.
All right, okay. You know what? For the most part, I enjoyed this book, so I'm going to give you on that one. I enjoyed the Bart story as well. I thought Todd Nook's art, because it's dead cartoony, kind of suits that character, as opposed to the straight lines that you would normally get. Freya, do you have a favorite?
Honestly, I kind of liked the first story.
Yes.
Because it reminds me of that one Batman the Animated Series episode where all of Batman's rogues gallery are playing poker with each other.
Almost got him. Is the
Almost got him episode.
Yeah.
And they're talking about all their things they do with like their crimes and whatnot. But this one is like they're talking about how hard it is to be a villain in Central City because of the speedsters. What a royal pain in the ass they are.
Batman will beat you up. Superman will put you in jail, but the speedsters, they'll talk to you. Oh, it's the worst.
Yeah, so I really liked the story. I thought it was cute. It just kind of showed how different each of the superheroes are, like how Flash is so much different from Batman and whatnot. Because realistically, yeah, if freaking Joker, realistically, quote unquote, when I'm talking about a comic book, but like if Joker or any of his like rogues gallery really tried to do anything with the Flash would be like, whoop, nope, not gonna happen here, you know, sort of thing. And that's why I think like the villains kind of stick to their own place because they know how to, you know, interact with their own
hero.
But you go to another city, you're like, nah, this is a whole new game. But
it's interesting with the Joker because I was reading this book earlier and I thought to myself, nobody ever talks about the fact that whilst Batman has probably one of the best rogue galleries in comic book, there's very few of them that are super powered.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, you've got Clayface 2.
Killer Croc, I guess.
He's just strong, isn't he?
Yeah.
Ivy.
He's a mutant.
Ivy, yeah.
Ivy, one of the Clayfaces.
The mass majority of like 99% of all of Batman's villains are they are criminals and they need mental health. So they're the people who break out of the asylum and just kind of serial killer type things. That's why Superman could do it, but it's just kind of overkill and it wouldn't be fun because he's Superman, you know? And then it's also why we said Batman doesn't belong in space because he doesn't deal with those types of threats. He deals with the more human types of threats, you know, that you would have going into a big city, like serial killers who decide to arrange their victims in, you know, like in art pieces and you know, stuff like that. He deals with. That's why I think Batman would do well as Black Label because you can really go into like the serial creepy crap, like you know. But Superman kind of can't do that because his is more fantastical with aliens and stuff, and so it's just yeah.
Cool. I'm with you. I enjoyed the first one. I thought the first one was my favorite.
It was funny.
Just the daft jokes all the way through. I thought they're very good.
And at the very end, with him being like, the money you're playing with is stolen. I just stole it from Central City Bank. And they all immediately start freaking out. They're like, oh God, it's him. Oh, he's coming after us. And then sure enough, when they open the door,
he's there.
It's there. Dialogue wise, the man in the mirror, the Max in the mirror, that was written by Mark Waid. I knew I was in for a fun ride when the dialogue said he has the attention span of a toaster. I was kind of like, yep, here we go.
Yep. Yes.
It just also makes you wonder because Mark Waid used to write The Flash years ago. Just shows you how much the character misses such a good writer like that, right? Because I mean, everyone talks about. We've just gone through one of the big stories of the Flash, the 60-second invasion or whatever it was, and oh man, that was terrible in so many places. I wish it took 60 seconds to read, but what can I say?
But no, it was 60 issues.
I like that. What do you think about the Flash family story, the Josh Williamson one?
Impulse, Max, or
this is where Barry and Iris went on a date.
Oh, it was okay. It was super cute. It was super wholesome about, they're like, oh, we're going on a secret date night, you guys. And then the kids were thinking, oh, they're just going back to where they first had their date. And sure enough, they were taking the cosmic treadmill for a joyride. And then when they come back, they're like, oops, forgot something. We'll take everybody, just come along. And they had a nice little family outing.
Yeah, it is sappy, super sappy.
Super sappy, but
super sappy. Not my favorite. Not my favorite at all. The book.
It was good, but it wasn't. It wasn't like the other ones. It was meant to be more wholesome than the others.
More slice of life, cutesy thing.
Indeed. The wheels fell off for me in Jeff Johns one, Hunter Solomon, and the Reverse Flash. I'm like. This really kind of bugs me because I've really been liking Jeff Johns on Justice Society. But here I'm just like, what? So,
yeah.
I kind of. the art kind of threw me over, to be honest.
And it's what, like 4 pages?
Yeah.
It's very short.
That's what she said.
And thank you all for hanging out.
Get back here. Get over here.
Go over here. But yeah, it was really short. It was about 4, maybe 5 pages long, and it wasn't really focusing on the Flash. It was more focusing on Zoom, on Hunter Is it Zolomon or Zolomon?
I say Solomon, but I could be saying it wrong because I'm ingrate. What do I know?
I like to think it's Zoloman.
It's probably
he's flying. He's flying solo, man.
Oh my gosh!
Look, you got one. I got one.
Okay. All right, and then to round off the book, the Flash goes indie style. So the last book is Between Love and You, written by, as I said, Cy Spurrier, who we've seen on Sandman most recently. There's a lot of Sandman stuff. Mike Deodato Jr. has been doing a lot of stuff for AWA Comics. Hassan Otsman LOL is probably Dynamite's letter of choice up with Simon Boland. So I kind of, in fact, so it kind of screams independent. I don't know. Do we like a darker version of the Flash? Do we do we prefer him to be all Central City sparkly?
I like him being sparkly.
I think it's good to change it up every now and then. Have him being sparkly the majority of the time, but occasionally throw in something that kind of deviates from the norm. A little bit darker. It's kind of like how Batman, how he's always dark and broody, but occasionally we want to see him being, just a regular guy or having a lighter sense or a lighter story than normal. Just something to change.
I do like Mike Deodato's art. I think it's class. I like how the panel structure is laid out and everything. As I said, I've seen his work on AWA for a while now, and it's always been interesting.
I did like this panel. I thought this was cool.
Yeah. I suppose for me, the only thing that kind of threw me off the whole book was the cover. Because it's like, on the cover, it says a celebration of Wally West. And I'm like, if DC really cared about Wally West, why does it keep trying to do him wrong by killing him every other issue?
I know, right?
He's being shot in the New Titans book. We looked at that last time.
Yeah, that's right. He did get shot.
So what are we celebrating?
Maybe he has an anniversary. Maybe an anniversary has passed or is upcoming since the first release of Wally West. When was Wally West first introduced as the DC character?
God knows. So, here's an interesting point for you, though. Where's the other Wally West? Isn't there 2 now? Isn't there a...
Is there 2 Wallies now?
There was. What happened to... Because he was hanging out with Deathstroke a lot. So what happened to him?
I don't know. I don't know.
On that bombshell, we'll move on to our next book. Oh, dear God. All right. So the next book was one of Freyja's choices.
Yay! I regret my choices in life. I'm going to say that.
I have to say from this point on that for a change, I actually quite enjoyed this one. So well done, Freyja.
Yay! Go me. Yay.
Go Freyja, yeah. Not that my approval means absolutely anything to anybody. Here we go. This is Peacemaker Tries Hard #2. It's a Black Label book. So be aware. There are swearing in this, and swear words actually exist. It is not asterisk exclamation marked out. It's written by Kyle Starks, art by Steve Pugh, colors by the incomparable John Belair, and Becca Carey's on letters. Freyja, this is yours. Take it away.
Oh, call. This one. Let me get my drink ready. Okay.
It's just
you picked this.
I pick terrible books all the time, Johnny, and you know this.
Oh no! What's happened?
Okay, so I don't know if it's because the week I've been having or what, but like I knew this book was going to be stupid because it's Peacemaker, and that's just kind of the humor of Peacemaker is that it's stupid and he's stupid and it's just funny. But I don't know. So they're going to not get Deathstroke's DNA. They're going to like just kind of mess with his guys, his crew. And
I think they want his DNA, but they're going about it differently.
Yeah.
They're not going to Deathstroke to get it. They're going to break into a lab of somebody who's already got it.
Yeah, something like that. So
that's right.
They
got
go
one
in,
of his pubes.
Yeah, like something like that. So it's just.
I'm not joking. They literally say it in the comic book.
I know.
Before anyone in the comments comes at me, I'm just saying it says it in the comments.
In
the comic.
It says it, yeah. Like I said, stupid humor through this entire book. I don't know. The story was a very Peacemaker story, like you said. You're going to go get Deathstroke's DNA by going through a different way instead of just fighting him, being up front. And this book, I don't know. So they go to Peacemaker's little trailer home, and they grab him a different mask so he can have special powers. Where they go and they find the Deathstroke team or Demolition team, whatever, DT. We're about to grind up some kittens for who knows why. And
because they're evil.
They're evil. And
I was going to say for Chinese food, but I don't know if that would be. Is that a low blow?
Oh, I don't know if you can say that, Johnny.
Okay.
But yeah, so they go and they get the DNA. I did find the guy taking lunch, just chilling there. I did find that funny. He's like, they just left him alone. He's like, I'm on lunch, guys.
I get a 30-minute break.
I'm on break. Leave me alone. I'm gonna watch videos on my phone and eat my sandwich. Leave me alone. So, and I like how they left him alone. They go through and they have all this weird like memorabilia. Like they have Wonder Woman's panties or underwear, whatever, the Star Spangled underwear that she had.
Really? Where's that?
I did not notice that. So,
Johnny Meaty's like, wait, where? Let me scroll.
It's when he goes into the vault, like the first thing. It's right there.
Oh, there they are.
Yeah, the Star Spangled underwear. And then they also have like Snowflame signed autograph picture. There's all sorts of little cute, fun things in here. And then he fights General Immortus. Fights, quote unquote.
I thought this little interaction was funny.
Yeah, it's just, and the artwork's well done. I'll give them that. It's well done, but I don't know. I think it might have been the mood I was in. I was just not having the humor. But if you like Peacemaker, you'll probably really, really enjoy this book. It's very Peacemaker-esque. I'm not gonna spoil the ending or anything like that, but you know, it's a fun, stupid comic.
All right, okay.
Sorry. And I mean that in the most positive way. Like, it's just stupid fun.
Yeah, cool.
I will have to say.
I'm sorry, Johnny. I know you like
this. Well, I liked it because it was stupid fun. I don't need stuff like this often.
I was like fully into it for the first maybe 5 panels because, Peacemaker show. I love it. It's really funny. And this captured the John Cena aspect really well. The entire time I was reading Peacemaker's lines, I was reading them in John Cena's voice. The scene where in the car, he was like, I'm better than Batman. Dude, I'm better than Batman. That guy's been fighting the same clown for like 20 years. You know how many clowns I could beat up in 20 years? Like 80 billion. It was just, the pacing was really well done. It matched the show really well. But after like the first 5 panels and it kept that same energy just flowing, my first thought was like, man, I thought Deadpool was the merc with the mouth. And it just kind of, it almost got to the point of being annoying just from him talking so much. But It was a good book. I give it, on a scale, I give it a 6 out of 10. I give it a 6 out of 10. I enjoyed it. It's 3 out of 5. But, you know, it wasn't bad. It wasn't terrible. It wasn't like one of the books we're going to read today. But I would pick this up because it's funny. It's a good story.
I agree with you both, actually. You're both right. The tone of the comic starts here and it doesn't deviate. I knew I was in trouble myself when I laughed at the penguin joke. I must have been sat out in the sun writing my notes for this when I laughed at that. In case anybody's wondering, the parents sont les derniers, or whatever he says, means parents are the last people on earth who should have kids. That's what he's saying there. Thank you very much. I did my research. Not my usual jam for sure. I'm not really. I don't like Peacemaker. I didn't like the TV show that much.
So I was surprised you liked the comic.
But I think it's just because it's, you know how you've just had that week and it caught you on the wrong side.
Yeah.
I've had a week and this caught me on the funny side. So
got the sunny side.
Yeah,
it tickled the funny bone.
Yeah,
found it humorous.
Buns out. That's how that works. As to, I think, the problem about Merc with a Mouth, that's a really great observation to make, Matthew. That's the problem when you've got a character who only speaks French for the majority of the book, right? You're not going to get a lot of conversation out of him, right? So
yeah,
it's kind of, I suppose, you're right. It is derivative of Mr.
But he explains why he speaks French the whole time at the end of the book.
Yeah,
so
he does. I like the end with the kitten, but I can't spoil it because Freyja says she's not going to spoil it, so it's fine.
Yeah.
Art-wise, I thought the art was all right. It was a bit house-styly. It didn't. I think it's the language that gives it its black label. Nothing other than that.
Nothing else.
Honest.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not.
Maybe the kittens, but
yeah, it's not super mature at all in any
Not
shape,
really.
way, or form. It is just the language of which there is a ton of. So be aware if you are picking this up for little Jimmy because he watches this show.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the guy did.
Which they shouldn't be watching the show, but
I mean, the guy did get his brains blasted out through the side when he got shot.
Yeah, well.
But you know.
So, all right, there you go. 2 up, 2 remaining. Where should we go? Should we go Crisis? Crisis?
Yeah, Crisis.
Yeah, Crisis.
Yeah, Crisis. Crisis in the Toyverse. Crisis in the Toyverse by Bobo. Check it out for all the latest figures. I'm sure he'll get round to the McFarlane Flash figures sooner rather than later. All right, there we go. All right, next up is possibly another vanity piece. I say vanity piece because, you know, it's written by an actor. We've all known how it is. Sorry. So, this is Steelworks number 1 of 6, written by Michael Dorn. That's right, that Michael Dorn, who played Worf, son of Morg, in many Star Trek Next Generation projects.
Yeah.
As well as being the voice of Steel in some animated stuff, so that's good. Art by Sami Basri, colours by Andrew Dalhouse and Rob Lee, who was pulling double duty on the Flash book, gets another outing with letters around. So we'll start with Matthew. Matthew, what did you think?
Oh, me? Oh, jeez. Oh, jeez, Rick. in the very first panel, where it's all the soups flying in, the one on the top left. Well, it's not the first panel; it's the second panel. Sorry, where it says "Steelworks Chapter 1: City of Tomorrow." I believe it's the next one after this.
That one?
Yeah, that one.
All right.
The one on the top left looks like he has a Mortal Kombat symbol.
All right, okay.
That's all I can think of when I see that. I know it's not, but Mortal Kombat. Anyways, I wanted to point that out. Reading through, we follow the story of John Henry and how he's trying to set up this steelworks situation where he's giving power back to the people without it being, mitigated from people on top, and giving equal rights to everybody, trying to make the world a better and brighter place, trying to make it to where people aren't relying on the supers so much, that if there's a problem, that they can find the strength within themselves to take care of it, and not have to have Superman or another caped hero fly in and save the day, that they can save themselves. But the fact that he's trying to spread power to the people, some people don't like it. This person named Charles Walker III picks up a guy who lost his wife in a situation and is talking with him about how he disapproves of John's idea and wants to essentially deal with it. And he's picked up this guy because he thinks he's a perfect candidate for what he's going to do. And he gives him some kind of power. He lures him down into a basement and he gives him some kind of power. It's not exactly shown. He does say now run. So what I'm imagining is that they've given this person power of the Speed Force. So making him into some sort of speedster. I could be wrong. But that's the general story so far. Artwork was, I think, was pretty spot on. The guy that they picked up, I don't remember his actual name.
Fair enough.
But the guy that they picked up has a hairline worse than Vegeta. It's way back there. Although I can't speak too much. My hairline's killing as well.
No comment on hair from me.
But it's not a bad book. It's not a bad book. Artwork is, I think, is pretty well done. John has arms like a freaking tree, my guy. Just literally just took up a tree, put it on his arms, and he's just like goals. Am I right? Like, man, I got freaking noodles when looking at that. Jeez, I've got to get back in the gym, get buff. But still, it's a solid book. Honestly, it's a solid book, and I think it sets the ground for a good story, which is something that we haven't seen in, we've seen other actors write storybooks or try to write books, and they've all ended up being like, as you point out, vanity choices. But honestly, this doesn't read like any of the others that we've had. At least to me, it doesn't.
It's a fair
this
show.
One done. I think this one was done rather well. It's not focusing purely on John. Like, yes, it's a story about John and his, him wanting to make the world a better place. But he's not a central focal point like the other books that we have read, like the Riddler book.
Don't even get me started on that.
It was rough.
Yeah.
It was rough because of the one bad day thing. The Riddler story was so much better.
Oh, true.
It was like that was P.S. There was not that bad boy.
I guess that one just suffered from bad release timing.
Yeah, I agree with you on that one. If it hadn't been released And just after that first Riddler book, it might have got a different reaction. I don't know. I noticed they're going back to that color scheme of green on green in the new Batman Brave and the Bold comic that came out a couple of weeks ago. So.
Yeah.
Freyja, this is a mini series.
Uh-huh.
This is 1 of 6. So do you think that DC is saying that they don't have faith in the idea of Steel as an ongoing character?
Yeah. I that's why I always read with these miniseries, because they did that with Mira, and they really should just, they're testing the waters, and I get why. You know, you want to see who's interested in the character, and if they do well, hopefully they'll get a continuation book, but we all know they're not going to do that. But I wish they would. I like Steel, but it's just, yeah, they're just testing the waters. I agree though with Matthew. The book is actually it doesn't feel like too much like a vanity piece for the actor who plays this character. It's the artwork's not my favorite, but it's well done. And I was like, is that Lana Lang that he's engaged to?
It most certainly is.
I was like, all right, so there's our redheaded Lana back. And I was like, okay, so he's engaged to Lana Lang in this. I was like, it just kind of came out of left field. I'm like, wait, what's going on? Because this is issue number 1. I'm like, wait, what? Steel was engaged to Lana? I don't remember that. But I guess he is. And yeah, the whole giving the power back to the people. I know that the character has good intentions, but have you met people?
Not everyone can be a pessimist.
I'm not a pessimist. I'm a realist. Let's be real. How many, when you go by construction workers and stuff, how many of them are actually working and how many of them are sitting on their ass? And how long does it take for the construction to get done? And how shoddy is the construction work that gets done? Like, people, like, I'm not saying all people, I'm just saying in general. I have been in so many school buildings due to my job, because they're having all of the schools renovated and whatnot. The amount of shoddiness, and that they have spent millions of dollars on this. The shoddiness is just unreal. The paint is already peeling off. It hasn't even been a year. The carpet's already coming up. Like, and they
I don't think that's the construction people doing that.
The carpeting in the building, the doors don't all work. Some of them aren't even in properly. It's just my point is
walking in doors.
Like
the door just falls over on the kids.
No, actually, that happened to one of the employees. They didn't put up the safety stuff to say that the door wasn't on the hinges, so she went to open this super heavy flame resistant door, and it fell on her and it busted her shoulder because they didn't put the safety things up around it, so she didn't know.
I don't think that's the construction company.
Well, what my point is that people suck. People will do shortcuts. Some people are just lazy, and so like, we shouldn't rely on the supers to defend ourselves and stuff. I'm like, okay, so when we have Brainiac attacking, how many people are going to die because we don't want to use the supers? Steel. How many people are going to die if you're going to let the normal people do it? There's a reason why the supers do these things for these people, because people will die. It's like, you think about the military, like, okay, so we have this new technology, drones and stuff, it'll greatly reduce casualties in war, and you go, no, we're going to put it back in the hands of the people and let the people do it. We're going to put boots on the ground, like, it's all great for some things, but you should, because he's like, the supers need to stop saving people. I'm like, how about no? So I have a main thing with the issue with the story, because it's just silly. Like, if you think about the reason that the superheroes are there is because the average people can't deal with what they're dealing with. Like, people will die if Superman doesn't save them from Brainiac, or if Zod showed up. What are they gonna do if Zod showed up?
Neil probably.
Yeah, so it was like, it's all well and fine. You can be idealistic and butterflies and rainbows and stuff, and like, people need to take care of themselves. And yeah, I agree, people should take care of themselves and not rely on people too much. But it's the same thing with like modern medicine. No, I'm not going to use modern medicine because I can come up with a home remedy. But sometimes you need to go to the hospital. Sometimes they need the superheroes to help them. You can't just tell them no more superheroes. It's just
right. Okay, that's good. Right, excellent. Woo, she took a breath, everyone. Hey, all right.
Sorry.
Okay, right. You know I love it when you go off on one. You know. All right. So I don't think. I mean, just as a counterpoint, I don't think John's turned around and saying that we shouldn't rely on Superman for when Brainiac attacks. I think he's saying we shouldn't rely on Superman when you stub your toe getting out of the tub. I think there's gradients of dangers in Metropolis that people don't have the ability to stand up against because they're waiting for Superman to rock up, or Supergirl, or Superboy, or Super Kids, or whichever super it is that's knocking around that time. I like the idea of it. I do like the idea. It's that whole sort of like, remember when they had Ban the Bat in Detective Comics for a while? And they try to go down that route. Do I think it's going to last? No, I think the story idea itself, the whole world without supers or stand up for yourself, is going to fall flat, which is why it's a 6-issue thing, not a longer story. You know what? I hear what you're saying about the 6-issue thing, but remember, Poison Ivy series, that was only supposed to be 12 issues, and that's been given extra legs down the line, so you never know.
Yeah, testing the waters. Like, if it does well, they may extend it. If not, you know.
I'm pretty sure that Clark will disagree that the world still needs a super. As for the art, where was it? Let me see if I can find it, because there's something I spotted and I wanted to know straight away. Who's the fox in the red dress at the bottom there? Did the Matrix put her in there? I have no idea.
She's a streetwalker, Johnny.
Okay.
Streetwalker. Is that like a night walker?
Yeah.
AKA Lady of the Night.
I guess. I know. I'm just saying.
That's what I assumed at first, but I was like, well, she's not as provocative as I would have thought. Anyway, the art's by Sammy Basri, as I mentioned. Basri, you might remember his work on Power Girl before Flashpoint all those many moons ago. He had the inevitable job of replacing Amanda Connor. I think he did very well on the Supergirl book. Here, his body designs can be a little wooden. Reminds me of a little bit like Michael Janin from the Batman books, where it's like a great idea, but it's just not a lot of movement to them, which, again, I think Matthew harkens back to the fact that Steel's arms are like tree trunks. But I'm with you, though, this one. I think I'd keep an eye on this one. I think this is going to be an interesting read. I like how, on one hand, they turn around and say the world shouldn't have supers, and then at the very end of the book, we rely on his daughter. Where are we at? I've gone past it. There you go. Suiting up to take on the bad guys. So it's like, what? No? Can you practice what you preach?
I think it's kind of like what you were saying. I think that there's tiers of dangers, right? Like when you face against something that's military grade or higher, a super, or having some kind of, having equal power to fight back against it will be necessary. But like if somebody's walking down the street and they get mugged, they should be able to defend themselves instead of being like, "Oh, Superman, come save me!"
So you're telling me the Flash shouldn't have chased that guy through time and space to get that little girl's lollipop back?
No.
Is that what you're telling me?
Of course, it's just a lollipop.
She should have just sucked it up, child. Get a new lollipop.
Yes. As that famous quote is, "Fuck them kids." No. Sorry. Wait. Hey, look, the PG-13 channel. We get one, right?
PG-13. We just did a Black Label book.
Oh my god! And this is where we get kicked off YouTube.
I'm so sorry.
Whatever. As long as we don't swear within the first minute, YouTube don't give a fuck.
I don't give a damn. That's right.
Sorry.
I will say about the art, I don't understand how this girl can be so skinny in the waist with everything else going on. Obviously, that must be a corset.
It's a corset. It's a metal corset. It doesn't give it all.
All right. Okay. I'll take your word on that.
Maybe she's just thick with two C's. She's thick.
Oh my God.
She's actually not that thin. She's just very wide in other places.
Oh, sorry. I didn't realize Nicki Minaj was in steel.
Nicki
All right.
Minaj.
All
Last
right.
issue. Let's go. Let's lock it up. Moving
All
on.
right.
From this
Okay.
please.
Let's stop now. Shall we stop now? No? All right. Our last book comes with a singing entrance by the lovely Freyja. So, Freyja, would you like to take this one away?
I'm not singing for you, Johnny.
You like the Scooby-Doo, they're coming after you. We're gonna solve that mystery. I see you, Scooby-Doo.
Wrong theme song there.
No, it's not.
It is. This
No,
is
it is.
Scooby-Dooby-Doo. Where are you? We got some work to do now.
No.
Come on, Scooby-Doo.
But that's not the full
you.
version.
Pretended you've got a shiver. But
See,
you're
this
not
is my
gonna
master
see.
plan all along. I would sing the wrong version to get you two to sing the right one.
That's Scooby-Doo. All right, this is Scooby-Doo. Where are you? Number 122. What? That number baffles my brain. We've had 122 of these issues. That must be counted historically. It must be. Anyhow,
Throughout time.
Yeah, in all time. Yeah, we're not doing this on old timers at all. All right, okay. So, a couple of writers. You've got Derek Friedolfs on the first story with Shoddy Fish on the second. Art is Randy Elliott and Rupert Pope, respectively. Colors are Sylvana Brees on the first one and Jason Lewis on the second. Scott McRae helps out on inks on the second book. And Sadia Temofonte, great name, provides the letters for both. Now, bearing in mind, earlier in this pod, Freyja did say she picks bad books. So, Freyja, why?
It's Scooby-Doo, man.
Yeah, it's true. Scooby-Doo.
I have to immediately say one point in the very, very first panel where Shaggy's screaming, like, it's time to panic. Fun fact, that is where we get the word panic from. It's because the Greek god Pan had an ability where he could incite fear in his enemies, and thus was called panic. And so
I thought it had to do with the piano or the fact that he's playing a pan flute later. In the
Oh
book.
my! This just got a whole lot of Encyclopedia Britannica for no reason whatsoever.
I just thought because the goat man was playing a pan flute, that's why he said panic.
The Greek god Pan was the one who invented the pan flute. Thus is the origin of that. Is also the origin for the word panic.
I'm glad there's only one of them because I'd hate for there to be a pandemic.
Yeah. But hey, look, you get to stay in the house and eat your pancakes all the time.
Yum yum.
Yeah, mine was better. All right,
It was. Yeah.
We don't want to have an argument and cause pandemonium, right?
Hey.
So
it's almost as bad as this book.
Yeah, this book was obviously meant for small children, because it very much reads as so. It reads like an old Scooby-Doo episode, kind of. They bring in charm. They kind of that's the charm of it. It's like a Scooby-Doo episode, and they bring in D&D for I don't know why, but they did. So. And they're there for a piano recital for Daphne, and at least for the first one, it's cute. It's obviously for children. Then the second one was a Kiss knockoff. It's called Smooch, and it's a bunch of old rocker puns that I'm like, children don't understand these. I don't. Why are you doing these? Yeah. Because Kiss was an 80s rock band. Children don't. I mean, I guess some kids know who Kiss is, but like, it's not that relevant anymore. And then they had Johnny Be Bad instead of Johnny Be Good.
Be Good.
It's like, yeah, kids don't understand these puns. Don't get these puns. But it's all kid fun, and that's, you know, the artwork is Scooby-Doo. And then of course there's that Superman special at the end, which is it looks like the Captain Underpants / Dogman comic books.
Yeah.
Books. It's in that style. Which once again, my nephews loved those books when they were younger. So that's their target audience, guys.
Story plot is Clark gets home.
Clark gets home
to do chores told to do chores without powers, uses powers anyway, gets scolded.
Yeah. Yep. He's like, do it. Well, we just
wait a minute. That sounds like a storyline of the Steelbook.
Yeah, don't do anything with your powers.
Don't do supers.
Yeah.
I think, you know what, Frey, you make some valid points. I think the second story is for us mums and dads who are reading this book with our kids, or in my case, grandkids, to get a laugh out of it. You know how the jokes in The Simpsons are adult orientated, but the kids laugh at the slapstick. I think it's like the comic book version of that, you know. So the grown-ups reading with the kids will get the joke. The grown-ups are laughing at the Johnny B. Bad joke reference, as in the kids are laughing because the dude looks funny looking.
Yeah,
I think that's how it's supposed to work. I don't know. I'm not an expert in these things, but I preferred the first story over the second.
Yep.
I just thought the first one made more sense in a true Scooby-Doo fashion. I liked how they tried to set up that it was somebody else. You didn't know if it was going to be the councilman or if it was going to be the D&D guy. So it actually gave
piano
you
tuner.
Yeah, so it actually gave you like a little bit of a mild surprise when you worked out when it came out who was who and who did what. So I thought that was a nice little change of pace from the usual cartoon. In the cartoon, it's always the first guy to bump into it, isn't it? Although two, if it wasn't for those stupid kids.
Although, admittedly, when I got to this panel and I read about, or when it introduced the governor, I was like, yeah, it's him. It's him.
That's because you don't trust government. It's fine.
Yeah, this is true. This is true.
So, I've extolled the virtues of this. Frey kind of liked it. Matthew, why did you hate it so much? Why are you saying this book is a waste of time? Scooby-Doo.
I know it's Scooby-Doo. I should have gone into. I think this is where I messed up. Is that I should have gone into this expecting a child's book, but from the last Scooby-Doo issue that we read was kind of meant for both, and so I went into it having some kind of elevated expectations, and then as I'm reading through, I was like, man, this is just bad, especially when it got to the second book. And it was just all the terrible, terrible references and jokes. Smooch instead of kiss. Johnny B. Bad. I was just like, I'm not having a good time, guys.
Oh.
And so it was just me. Yeah, and you guys know that I'm all for changing the pace, selecting different books every now and then. But this one just wasn't it for me.
This one wasn't for you. Oh, you need to read with your heart.
It was filled with too many puns that I would make in real life, and it made me sad.
You realize? So that brings up an interesting point. Which one are you, Shaggy or Scooby?
Obviously, Shaggy.
Yeah,
dude. Obviously.
As long as you're not Fred. That's what I want to know.
Yeah, not Fred.
Not Fred.
I don't have enough scarves.
Yeah, all blue shirts with double denim going on there.
It's actually not a shirt. It's actually a one piece. If you look at it, his collar, his collar's the same color as his pants. So it's just okay. Yeah. Anyways, it's just horrible fashion sense.
Horrible fashion sense. So there we have it. 4 up, 4 down. A range, I think is a fair assessment on that one. To be honest, a range. You've got a celebratory book, you've got Peacemaker, you've got the start of a mini series, and of course, you've got Scooby-Doo. I think that pretty much covers all the corners of the DC world this time around. Well done. Excellent. All done. Excellent. So, Freyja.
Yes.
Matthew, thank you for joining me tonight. I really do appreciate it.
Yeah.
No problem.
Excellent. Don't forget to check out the UCPN for all your favorite shows, including Freyja.
K-Pop Cosmos. We do a show once a month where we highlight and talk about groups or soloists in K-pop.
Cool. Yeah. Excellent. The Magic Crusaders are on a sabbatical at the top for the time being. Although
for the time being, unless something else, unless something changes.
He has some runes in the fire, I'm sure. And of course, don't forget to check out our sister show, the No Price Podcast, for everything that's Marvel, Disney, MCU, and they might even throw an odd comic book in there. Who knows? It's Marvel. Their comic books are odd. It has to be. All right, I'll be your host. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Be on the sun too long. I've been your host, John Machine Hughes, and as always, adios.
Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.